Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my struggles with my weight and the fact that I've been obese and a normal weight and hovered around the middle for many years now. I think I have some valuable lessons to give to you lot out there who may be looking for some inspiration and some education on how to lose fat the right way, because I can tell you I have done it all the wrong ways. So in this video I'm going to be explaining a little bit of history about how long I've been dealing with weight problems and how I managed to pull myself back from the brink of those weight problems and have maintained a decent weight, a healthy weight for many years. I need to start with a disclaimer. I am going to be talking about calories. I'm going to be talking about bullying in school, name calling, that kind of thing, potentially disordered eating. So if any of that is a little bit hot topic for you, if it's too personal for you, please don't watch this video. It's just watch some of my other videos. They're not going to be all about fat loss. But for those of you who are still here, buckle up, because we've got some chatting to do. So let me start at the beginning. I was a healthy child. I was actually not a healthy child. I went to hospital for a couple of nights because I wouldn't eat anything. I was underweight for my height, which is 5'2" now as an adult. I was underweight as a child and they thought there was something wrong with me, so they kept me in for observation, and it just turned out I was a picky eater. I was underweight as a child, and then I can't really put my finger on it, but I do believe it was the moment my mum gave me the purple Quality Street, the one with the chocolate, the caramel and the hazelnut. She gave me one of those to eat, to try, and she was like, just try it, just chew it, see what it feels like, see what you like. And that was the start. That was the start of a very unhealthy relationship with food. Sorry, Mum, but it's true. From then on, I had struggled with my weight. I was getting bigger and bigger. And by year 7, I was being bullied at school. One kid at school shouted cellulite down the hallway at me. He did get into a lot of trouble for that, I think, quite rightly. And then I was just known for being a big girl. It wasn't until like the pinnacle of secondary school bullying where your actual identifier is Fat Beth Cook. That was apparently my identifier, and I found that out during a house party. That was fun to learn, that people described you that way. It will stay with me forever until the day I die. But here I am, not Fat Beth Cook. I'm Beth Von Black, and I'm a healthy weight, and I have been for years now. At the age of around, I'd say 23, I just got to that point where I'd had enough. And I think when you're obese and you have hated it the entire time, you've always hated being as big as you are, I think for a lot of us, there comes a point where you just think, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I've had enough looking this way, feeling this way. And I hit that point, I think, at around 23. My mum was in a similar position. She had a few excess stone that she wanted to get rid of. So we both joined a gym. We joined Weight Watchers, and for a little while, for about a year, we worked our asses off and we lost weight. I actually got down, I'd say I was started as about a size 16, 18, and I ended up as a size 10. And I'm going to tell you the truth is that I would not personally recommend Weight Watchers as a way of learning about food, as a way of learning about nutrition, because I don't know how they do it now, but back in the day when we were doing it, a banana had 6 points, and I was at the point where I was eating 16 points in a day. So you can see how mental it is for 6 points for a banana. I mean, yes, they are calorific, and no, I don't eat very many bananas in my life at the moment because I'm on a calorie deficit. We'll talk more about that later. But I just knew it wasn't sustainable. So I ditched Weight Watchers. I went back to intuitive eating, and I think I managed to keep the weight off. I stayed a size 10 for about 6 or 7 years, intuitively eating, because I'd learned how to eat a sensible portion. That's the only good thing I'd say about the Weight Watchers experience that I had, was that I had learned that I was just eating too much. I was a greedy cow. I will shout that from the rooftops. I am still a greedy cow. I love food. I love food. It just makes me happy. So I went to the gym. I did Weight Watchers. I lost weight, and I managed to keep it off for a good 6 or 7 years or so. That's when I met my now husband. A few years continue, happily in love, hello 2 stone, start gaining the weight again, because the love pounds, they are a thing. They really are a thing. So I slowly just started eating kind of what I wanted again. We would be drinking a lot more because we were socializing with his friends. I was staying at his house. So we were eating takeaways, Domino pizzas, all that kind of stuff on a fairly regular basis. So you can see where I'm going to go with this. We'd been together for 5 years by the time we were actually getting married, and I'd put on about 2.5 stone, I think. I've never been heavier than 11.5 stone, or 11.5 pounds to be precise. By the time I got married in 2019, I was 10 stone. I was edging towards my upper limit. The truth is, like most people, when they lose weight, they gain it back and then some. And that's usually down to things like slipping into old habits. It's the old habits that got you fat in the first place. So when you slip back into them, the inevitable happens. So the inevitable happened with me, and I did put on about 2 stone. Here's a wedding photo that shows me, I've got quite a big face. I put my weight on my face, and you can really see, and I'm also quite wide. So that's when I'd had enough. Got to that point again where I saw myself in photos and I just thought, I'm not happy. I don't want to be this big again. It wasn't until we'd got to COVID, I'm stuck at home, I can control everything that passes through my mouth. Why don't I just lose the weight now? So I did. Literally just said to myself one day, okay, I'm going on a calorie deficit. I've been doing a lot of reading about how to lose fat, and I knew that you needed to be in a calorie deficit. What I didn't realise was that I had no idea how many calories I needed to just maintain how I was living. So I did the usual thing that women do erroneously, and I just cut my calories to 1,200 calories. And please don't do that, please. I started tracking. I downloaded MyFitnessPal, and I tracked everything, every morsel. I started eating very low calorie, high density foods. So I was eating lots of vegetables and lots of fruit. I basically started starving myself. I am 5'2", so 1,200 calories isn't a dangerously low amount for someone of my stature, but it's just not sustainable, and it's not sensible, because what ended up happening was just lost all my muscle mass. It's a photo of me at my lowest weight in recent years. This was when we just as we moved to Dubai, and I had been on a calorie deficit, and I also implemented lots of cardio. Yep, I am that cliche. I did 1,200 calories and I did loads of cardio. I bought a recumbent exercise bike, and I was on that for literally hours at a time. When I look back now, I cringe. I really do cringe. It's not the way to do it. Cardio is not an ideal way to lose fat. It's just not. Another thing, I was just not eating enough protein. I wasn't eating any protein because at that point I was living with my husband. He's vegetarian. Not a priority for him in his diet, so it wasn't a priority for me, and I didn't realize exactly how important protein is, especially when you're trying to lose fat. You need to eat protein. Another thing that I got wrong was not taking a diet break. I dieted for, I'd say, 18 months straight. I didn't enjoy it, and I think that it's just not sustainable. You can't sustain 18 months plus of being on really low calories and doing loads of cardio. I was skinny fat, and that's what leads me to getting to Dubai and thinking, I'm skinny fat. I don't want to be skinny fat. I want to be muscular. I am going to build muscle. So what did I do? I did my research. I went online. I spent hours and hours on YouTube watching videos from personal trainers talking about how to calculate the amount of calories that you need to be in a calorie deficit or to build muscle. I learned about the importance of protein in your diet, and if you want to build muscle, you need to be eating more than the minimum required amount of protein. I go on the 1 pound of protein per 1 pound of goal body weight, so that puts me at around 130 grams of protein per day. And I do that by I supplement some protein, so I do have a protein shake every morning. I will insert a clip here of me making my protein oats that I eat every day without fail. Around 30 grams of protein. So I factored in protein into my diet, and then I learnt more about strength training and the difference between strength training and hypertrophy training. Hypertrophy training is basically just wanting your muscles to get big, so you look big, but then strength training is actually being able to lift heavy weight. And there is a real difference between somebody who looks like a bodybuilder and then somebody who is like a power lifter or an Olympic lifter. So that's what I did. I went to the gym and I eat around 130 grams of protein per day to maintain the muscle that I'm building whilst I'm in a calorie deficit. As a beginner in the gym, you could potentially build muscle and lose fat at the same time. I'm really hot, sorry, I'm just gonna have to derobe for a little bit because wearing a dressing gown in Dubai, I'm forcing the issue, I really am, and I know that, but you can't take me out of my dressing gown. I'm British, I like a dressing gown. I'm also autistic, so it's kind of like literal comfort blanket. The general consensus is that you need to be eating, if you're going to build muscle, you need to eat at least 1 pound of protein per pound of body weight, and that's your ideal body weight. I don't really have an ideal body weight because I don't look at the scales. I measure my body on how my clothes fit and how I look in the mirror. I do a 6-monthly bioimpedance scan. I get those done for free in the mall, in Dubai Mall. It's one of those things where you stand with your bare feet on the scale, and then you hold 2 paddles in your hands, and it supposedly measures your water, lean muscle mass, your fat mass, and that kind of stuff, and your bones as well. So I do those every 6 months just to get an idea of how much body fat I have versus how much muscle I have. And since I've been in Dubai the last 16 months, I am now, for the first time in my life, more muscle than fat. So I supplement with protein powder. I have 1 protein powder shake every day, and I have that in my oats for breakfast every morning. I occasionally supplement with protein bars, but I try not to because I'm lactose intolerant and they upset me. I eat a lot of labna, which is like a Middle Eastern equivalent of kind of Greek yogurt. I eat lots of eggs, and I eat a lot of chicken breast and white fish and tuna, tins of tuna. So easy. So that's what I tend to do. I focus purely on protein in terms of my calories. Because I step on the scales every 6 months, I now know what my total daily energy expenditure, I know what all that is now. I understand it a lot more. So I now know that my maintenance calories, because I've been building a lot of muscle recently, my maintenance calories are actually around 1800 calories. But because I'm still not happy with how much body fat I have, I'm trying to cut down the body fat, I've reduced my calories to 1400 a day. This is around a 20% calorie deficit, which is a really sensible position to be in. Again, like 1200 calories is just not a sensible place to be. So I eat around 1400 calories, and I maintain 5000 steps per day. I wear a Garmin fitness tracker, and I track my steps. So I try and make sure to get 5000 steps per day. But if I'm tired, I get around 3 just walking around the apartment. I strength train 4 times a week. I do glutes, hamstrings, and quads on a Monday. I do upper body, so back, bis and tris on a Tuesday. I have a rest day on a Wednesday where I only do my 5000 steps. Then on a Thursday I do glutes, hams and quads again, and then on Friday I hit back, bis and tris. And that seems to cover all the areas that I want to cover in the gym. I do outside of that, I do some calisthenics, I do a bit of yoga just to keep supple. I just make sure I get my steps. So that's how I have managed to build muscle, lose fat, and do it sensibly. I think the biggest tip I can give you is, if you want to lose fat, focus on your nutrition first. Make sure you know where your body's at in terms of its need for calories, Work out what your total daily energy expenditure is, how many calories you need to maintain your weight. Then bring that down to 20% deficit. I would recommend MyFitnessPal for tracking things, because at the moment I track everything. I weigh my food. I have kitchen scales at home. I have kitchen scales here in Dubai. I do weigh my food, and I count all my drinks, because drinks count. Not sure if people really realise that the milk in your coffee, the sugar in your coffee, all counts towards your calorie allowance for the day. So make sure you're factoring in things. If you're drinking teas and coffees, it all adds up, honestly. So you could find yourself not actually being in a deficit, even though you think you are, because you're not factoring your drinks. So that's one of my biggest tips, is drinks count. And then I would recommend getting in the gym and strength training. It's also called, it's strength training, weight training, resistance training, but get in the gym and lift some heavy shit. It has to be done. The only way to build muscle is to lift weights, and it can be so much fun, especially when, as a newbie, if you've never been in the gym, never lifted weights before, you will see the quickest results of anyone who's trying to weight train. If you've been in the gym 10 years, you have to really go some to build more muscle on top of that. But when you're a newbie and you first get in the gym, you can really build some muscle. And I think that's the thing with weightlifting, is that you get almost instant results. I mean, it does take a few weeks, because you have to work out the exercises that you want to do, your form, technique, time under tension, all of that. Once you've got the basics, and even a simple bicep curl, within a few weeks of doing a heavy bicep curl, you will see results. You will see actual muscle. And it honestly, it is the biggest high I've ever had. It's actually been so good for me that I have now come off my antidepressants, because I exercise 4 times a week. Simple as that. I have never been happier. I've never been fitter, I've never been stronger, and I've never been happier. Give it a go. You won't regret it. Oh, excuse me. And you will surprise yourself. You will honestly surprise yourself. I have surprised myself so many times in the last 16 months. I've hit PRs that I never thought I could ever hit. I'm hip thrusting 100 kilos, more than 100 kilos now, which with EDS is a challenge, but a challenge I have accepted, and it is the best thing I've ever done, apart from get married and be sterilised. It's the best thing I've ever done. So that is how you lose fat, how you build muscle, and you maintain it. So I hope this video is a little bit helpful to just one person. If I inspire anybody to just go to the gym and try to lift weights, or just try and track your food, my job will be done, and I'll be a very happy person. So thank you for joining me with this history lesson and chat, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.